How many games will the Miami Dolphins, the new and improved Miami Dolphins with the new head coach, Tyreek Hill, and a bunch of offseason additions, how will the Dolphins do in 2022? Will they take that jump into the playoffs, or will they remain disappointing and miss the playoffs in 2022? This is my schedule preview and my breakdown of every single matchup and every single week, determining whether they will win or lose every single game. If that sounds good, don't forget to Gronk spike the like button and subscribe to the channel for more BLV NFL record predictions just like this. Also hop in the comments and let me know, Miami Dolphins fans, how your team will do this season. Are you believing in Tua and the boys? Or do you think they still got a season or two to go to reach the playoffs or win the AFC East? Let's predict some games. Fins fans, it's time. Let's begin. Week 1, you play the Patriots. Oh, you love the Patriots, don't you? Well, it's the House of Horrors. I know, I'm a Patriots fan. It's the House of Horrors in Miami for the Patriots, and so far, so good for Tua when it comes to playing Belichick and New England. And although week 1, maybe you got a little bit lucky last year, I think this one's a little bit different because Miami's coming in with some momentum. Miami's going to be excited to play this game at home. The fans are going to be on fire. I think it's going to be a lot for New England to handle. And even though New England has more rapport potentially and more chemistry on both sides of the ball because they didn't have a ton of turnover in the offseason, and you guys did, I think that your talent and your home field advantage comes through, and that House of Horrors, you never know with New England. Just bad things seem to happen in Miami. I think the Patriots are going to drop this one to the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins take it, and I think the Dolphins are feeling good about themselves after week 1. Week number 2, you play the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore is a very tough place to play, and even though you beat the Ravens last year, I think the Ravens are going to take this game. Reason why? I think Baltimore is one of those teams that at their most best, let's say, they can really run the ball. And Miami, if there is a weakness defensively, it's the ability to consistently shut down the run game. Lamar Jackson will have a better offensive line in front of him than the one that played you last year in Miami on a Thursday night. Morgan Moses is in there. Tyler Linderbaum is in there. They've made their changes necessary to get better, and I think they are a lot better. They got their running backs back. Plus Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman. I think they got enough weaponry to move the ball. I think Lamar can create plays, scramble, and make magic happen. Well, I'm not sure Tua can do that against a good Baltimore defense on the road. I think Baltimore is the team to take this game. Week 3, you play the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo has been a team that has been really tough for you guys. You have been smoked by the Buffalo Bills last couple of years, and it's been embarrassing, but I think this time you sneak up on them and you upset them in week 3 in Miami. It's tough to play in Miami early in the year with the humid temperatures, and although that hasn't affected Buffalo really that much over the last couple of years, I do expect it to affect them because I feel like early in the year, Buffalo is going to be very high on themselves. They're going to play the Rams, that's a super hyped game. I mean, they're the Super Bowl champs. I think Buffalo might go in there and win that game. They play the Titans the week after, a team that they've struggled to beat, that they're going to be very hyped to beat. And then they see week 3, they play the Dolphins, and a team that they've beat a ton, and a team that's been easy, a cakewalk. And I feel like this new coaching staff is going to change things. It's going to give them a different look. Buffalo is going to be caught off guard a little bit. And you also have the secret weapon versus the Buffalo Bills, which is Tyreek Hill. They can't seem to beat Tyreek Hill. They can't seem to stop Tyreek Hill, even with Tre'Davious White. I think Tyreek Hill is the reason you win this game in Miami. Week 4, you play the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are a good football team, very good football team. AFC representative in the Super Bowl. Joe Burrow is an absolute baller, supreme. And I feel like this game's going to go down the wire. I think it's a good back and forth contest. I think the Dolphins can find a way to move the ball on the Bengals defense, but I think Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and their ability to run the ball and stay balanced, it's going to be too much in the end, especially on a short week Thursday after a big win versus Buffalo. I think Miami falls short of the Cincinnati Bengals. Week 5, they play the Jets, which could be a sneaky game for them. It definitely could be a sneaky game because the Jets are a much more talented team than a lot of people think. Their defensive line is loaded. They're strong. They can defend the run, and they can get to the quarterback. They're very overpowering. And for a new offensive line in the Jets, that might be a lot to handle, especially in the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. So they're still gaining rapport and that chemistry as an offensive line needs to. And then on top of that, the other side of the football, the Jets can run the ball. You know, they've got a good offensive line. I think Zach Wilson, he's a little bit hot and cold, but if he's hot, he can catch you napping. I feel like the Jets could pull off an upset victory over the Dolphins this year. I'm going to pick the Jets at MetLife to upset you guys with a strong defensive line and a crazy game from Zach Wilson. Week 6, you play the Minnesota Vikings. I think you should be able to beat the Vikings, although this is actually a tough game again. You know, Justin Jefferson's really talented. I'd expect a good matchup with Howard there. And then on the flip side, they've also got Dalvin Cook, who can run the football and keep you balanced. And Kevin O'Connell's new offense is going to be something different. Their defense can be had in the secondary. They're not very fast in the secondary, which your speed at receiver and tight end and all that might help you here. So I could see this game going either way, but because it's in Miami, I'm going to just give you guys the edge. Week 7, you play the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh might be a tough game again because Pittsburgh can get to the quarterback. They can make life uncomfortable for a quarterback. Their defense is pretty strong. And offensively, they're not very good. They have a highly questionable offensive line and quarterback position. So overall, I think that's why you win this game. Week 8, you play the Detroit Lions. And the Detroit Lions are not going to back down from anybody this year. They're a challenging team because of how hard they play every given week. This game is in Detroit. I don't think that really matters. I'm going to take the Dolphins here to win their first road game, I guess. I just feel like the Dolphins are more talented, period, end of story. And Jared Goff's not a difference-making quarterback. I think you've beaten Jared Goff in the past with a similar Dolphins team in the last couple of years. You made him look pretty bad, so I think there's carryover there. I'm going to take the Dolphins. Week 9, the Chicago Bears. The Bears are not a very good team, and even though it's in Soldier Field, which Tua might struggle with the windiness of Soldier Field. It's very windy, and for quarterbacks with not the biggest arms, that could definitely hurt an offense. But I think this is where McDaniel's ability to run the ball, lean on his zone running scheme on top of the defense's play to get to Justin Fields. I think they win a tight game, maybe a defensive game even, in Week 9. The Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns, I think, are a challenge for the Dolphins. Deshaun Watson's a very good quarterback. They have the decisive edge there. I think the coaching, Stefanski, he's a good coach. You know, he's not an overwhelmingly better coach, but he's a good coach. And they've got some pass rushers over there with Myles Garrett. They've got a talented secondary who can run with Denzel Ward and company. I think the Browns are tough because of their running backs and their ability to power run the ball. And then on top of Deshaun Watson's playmaking ability, I think it's going to be challenging for the Dolphins to win that game. Then you go in the bye week with a decent record overall so far. You're 6-4, which isn't bad, and you're looking like you're going to make the playoffs. So then in week 12, you play the Houston Texans. And the Houston Texans, you've always got to be aware, but coming off of a bye, unless the Dolphins are completely relaxed and completely asleep, they should be able to win this game at home. You know, maybe if this game was on the road, the Texans could take advantage of that and upset them, but the Texans just aren't good enough here. I just don't expect them to beat a talented team like Miami. Week 13, you play the San Francisco 49ers. I could see this game going either way as well. My thing here is it's the student versus the master, Kyle Shanahan versus Mike McDaniel. This is going from the East Coast to the West Coast, which is always difficult. And I think the Niners' ability to create pressure on the quarterback and cause havoc for Tua might be the difference here for the 49ers, on top of their ability to run the ball, which is very, very strong. And then all the different playmakers that they do offer, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and company. I think the Niners are one of the strongest rosters in football. I wouldn't be shocked if they beat you guys. Week 14, the Los Angeles Chargers. They're just a really good team with a really good quarterback, and there's no way around it. I think they're one of the best teams in the AFC, and this game's also on the road on the West Coast. I'm going to take the other West Coast team, the Chargers. Week 15, you play the Buffalo Bills. So this is where this is a really difficult stretch. You play the Niners, you play the Chargers, you play the Bills, you play the Packers, you play the Patriots. Really tough stretch for you guys. I think you drop this game again to the Bills. So 3 losses in a row, not looking so hot here. I think ultimately right now what I'm looking at is you guys are just playing rather really good teams and complete teams like the Niners on the road, or you're playing better quarterbacks, and ultimately that's really tough to overcome. Week 16, you play the Packers, which I actually think you're going to pull off the upset on the Packers here. I think usually Aaron Rodgers struggles in Florida, and I don't know why, but usually late in the year, Green Bay is used to colder weather. Going to a warmer climate, this just screams upset for me, and I think Miami has a very good defense to be able to play with the Packers offense and be able to disrupt and make life difficult for Aaron Rodgers. On top of, I think, the Dolphins being able to do enough on the ground to make life difficult for the Packers defense. Mike McDaniel comes from the Shanahan tree. Shanahan's given LaFleur's Packers a lot of issues. I think there's some crossover there, and I think the Dolphins win that game. Week 17, you play New England. I think this is the first time New England beats Tua. Dolphins fans might be upset by that, but it's in New England, and just like the game, for the Packers, it's the reverse. So Miami is going to New England, and usually when Miami goes to New England late, it's tough because you're used to the warm weather, and now you're going to a cold climate, and you're going to a place where it's windy, and you're going with a quarterback that can't really cut the ball through the wind and the snow. And if it is cold, if it is snowy, if it is windy, that heavily favors a power running team like New England, and I think New England probably wins that game at Gillette Stadium. Week 18, you play the Jets. I expect you guys to beat the Jets. I don't think you're going to get swept by the Jets. So ultimately, not a bad season whatsoever for Miami. It's a really difficult schedule, especially this stretch right here where you play the Niners, the Chargers, and the Bills in a row on the road, and then you come back home to play the Packers, and then you go to the Patriots. That's an extremely tough stretch. You've also got to face the Browns. You've got to face the Bengals and the Ravens on the road, which is really tough. You play the Bills again, the Vikings, the Patriots. That's an insanely difficult schedule. So I think the Dolphins are going to be better than they were last year, but I don't know how much that's going to really change their record just because they face a ton of good quarterbacks, a ton of good teams, and in a really difficult kind of crappy schedule in a way. It's a really tough schedule because the beginning of the year is tough and the end of the year is tough. The beginning of the year, you start with the Patriots, the Ravens, the Bills, and the Bengals. And then the end of the year, I spoke about it. So Miami is really on the edge of the playoffs. I could see you guys sneaking in, but ultimately, I think you're just outside along with the Patriots, just missing out on the postseason in 2022, which may mean that you have questions to answer in the 2023 offseason. But I do think that overall, it will be an improvement on the field. I think you will be a better team. I just don't know if it's ultimately going to get you where you want to go. That is my feeling for the Dolphins. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I think it was an easier schedule. You might be in the playoffs, but that's just where I stand. Let me know what you guys think. It's Mitch. Thanks for watching. Peace.